Hello and welcome to Trish Rock Inspires. I'm your host, Trish Rock, peace coach, best-selling author, and psychic. This podcast is to inspire you and shift your perception so that you can live your best life. This is series 5, and I hope you enjoy the podcasts. Please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can connect with me at trishrock.com. Now sit back and enjoy this episode. Hello and welcome. I'm Trish Rock, and this is my podcast, Trish Rock Inspires, and we are in series 5. And this is episode 4, and I've been talking about my new book, The Peace Process, and going through the 5 steps with you. And in this episode, we're going through step 3. And step 3 is allowing self-actualization versus self-sabotage. This has been a really big thing in my life. And until I was actually aware that I was self-sabotaging, I really was in victim mode and blaming everybody else on the outside and everything. And I wasn't even aware of that. I was so deeply entrenched in it that I wasn't even aware that I was doing it. So this step is really important because our self-sabotage is there in part to kind of stop us from repeating something that was painful. It's part of our ego and our emotional memories of, here she's going about to step over there. Oh, we remember when she did that last time and it was painful. We need to stop her, right? There's the ego kind of coming in and saying, no. Or it's one of your inner child memories, right? We've all got thousands of memories stored in our body. It's one of those memories going, no, trying to save us. So in step 3, the self-actualization is really the important part here, because you do self-actualize yourself, your environment, with what you say, what you feel, how you think, the actions you take, and your energy. And so in step 1, we went to a parallel reality where you remembered a part of your personality, one of the personas that you wanted to shift into, and you remembered that. So in step 1, I gave you the example of a relationship, and how I was attracting emotionally unavailable men, and first off I was blaming them. Right? It's all their fault, right? There's nothing wrong with me, it's all their fault. But when you come to that step, that first step, you really have to drill down what actually is the problem. And the more I drill down to the issue, the cause of that issue was me not feeling lovable and the rejection stories that surrounded that. So step 1, I went to a parallel reality where I was living with the belief that I was lovable. And I took in all of that information of how it felt, what I was doing, saying, acting, all of that, and then bring that back into the reality now. And then the second step was the forgiveness and the acceptance of what is now. And a lot of those old stories came up, and I could easily resolve them and dissolve them because I didn't need them to prove that persona anymore. like that persona of me that didn't feel lovable. Or, you know, the other story I tell you of me not feeling abundant, right? That persona of lack that I had adopted. You know, I didn't need the stories that were around them anymore. I didn't need to prove the lack. I didn't need to prove the unlovability anymore, because I'd remembered who I really was as that lovable person, or as that abundant person. And so these things do come up. And in step 2, they come up and we have full acceptance. We learn the acceptance and we learn the forgiveness to release those, because we don't need those stories to back up the you know, that persona anymore, because we're in a new persona. And then allowing you know, those patterns surrounding that old persona to show themselves in step 3. That is when we can then go, now I see you self-sabotaging pattern. And I don't need that anymore. I don't need that protection. So one of the things for me, which, and I talk about it in the book, is, and there's many ways we can self-sabotage. We self-sabotage in so many ways. Some of them are very conscious and some of them are very unconscious. One of the things for me, so that, you know, because I was proving that story of rejection, was, you know, whenever I had something that I really needed to sit and focus on with my business, I would end up spring cleaning the house. Right? And you kind of get 2 hours into it and like, you know what, I was meant to be doing this work by now. And I was never really aware of it. I just kind of was, oh, well, must just be the day to clean the house and not to do my work. But when I realized it was self-sabotage, I could stop it. And now if it happens, I kind of like, you know what, okay, let me just finish what I'm doing, because it's still a go-to self-sabotage for me. Let me finish what I'm doing, and then I'm going to start my work. And so I don't allow it to have that grip on me anymore. And there's other self-sabotage that doesn't exist anymore for me, because we'll self-sabotage with the words we say to ourselves, self-sabotage with the actions. So to really find awareness of that, and in step 3 of the peace process, we really look at the patterns and become aware of the patterns that you had around that old persona to keep it in place. And I think one of the biggest things here is really taking full responsibility for your life, all of it. This is your empowerment, taking full responsibility. And I talk a little bit about this in the book too, because, you know, it was only, you know, less than a decade ago that I started taking full responsibility for my life, and I stopped blaming other people. I stopped blaming the external circumstances, and I took responsibility. And, you know, when you have disagreements with people, I take responsibility for it. You know, there's, I think it's in the 4 Agreements, actually. Don Miguel Ruiz says that both parties, if there's a disagreement, both parties have to take 100% responsibility. Often it's like, oh, well, you need to take half of this, you know, 50% responsibility of this issue. No, each person takes 100% responsibility. And from that point of view, the situation can be resolved, because each person comes to a situation, and this is you with life as well, right? We come to a situation with our things that need to be solved as well. And in a world where we are the creator of our own reality, we create those good experiences and we create the not so good ones. And to take full responsibility for it and decide how you're then going to feel and how you're going to react and how you're going to resolve it, there's real empowerment there and real freedom for you. Because we have a choice every moment as to how we feel. It's not about anybody else. It's about us and how we choose to feel. So taking full responsibility, and, a lot of self-sabotaging patterns come from comparing yourself to other people. And you might do it consciously or you might do it subconsciously. But when you're about to take that next step in your life that is, a little bit scary, all of a sudden you might see somebody else who's far better at it than you are at the moment, and you'll be straight into comparison and the self-sabotage will kick in. So being aware of these patterns that happen is really important, because unless you're aware of something, you can't shift it. Self-love is really a big thing here too. And, really having that compassion and that love for yourself so that you stop beating yourself up about things that happen in your life. Because we're all very good at that. All very good at beating ourselves up. I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I shouldn't have allowed that to happen. Oh, it could have been better. I could have been better. I could have been different. If only I'd done this. And this is why the, step 2 of really being in acceptance of the now is so important, because you will stop beating yourself up for things and you'll go, right, okay, this has happened. I'm in acceptance now. What's my next step? And that next step will not be self-sabotage. That next step will be you self-actualizing the new persona. So really important. And just shifting your perceptions around things. Because in the old persona, so back to me for an example, in that old persona of unlovable, there were certain things that I believed about myself and other people. Now in the persona of lovable, I have a different perception on those things because it's coming from a different persona. So step 3 really will allow you to take those actions forward that perhaps were blocking you before and you didn't know why they were blocking you. They were blocking you because that part of your persona needed to stay in the story and you didn't know or remember who you really were in relation to that story. So really important stuff, this awareness. And that is taking full responsibility for you. Do you know what? I'm not feeling so good today. What is it that is creating that in me? Okay, well, that didn't go so well today. What is it in me that's creating that? It's really this self-awareness. How do I feel about this? How am I reacting to this? What actions am I taking in relation to this? And, how am I thinking? How am I feeling? And, am I expressing love for myself and others here? Or am I back in victim mode, beating myself up and blaming others? So step 3, the peace process, allowing self-actualization versus self-sabotage. I hope that has brought up some different points of view in your own mind today in this episode, and got you thinking about what your self-sabotage patterns are. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Trish Rock Inspires. You can connect with me at trishrock.com. See you for the next one.